Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fabi, and welcome to Era's DIY. On my channel, I like to do Dollar Tree DIYs, high-end dupes, thrift flips, and the occasional trash it treasure. This is another episode of my Christmas series, and I have 3 beautiful DIYs for your winter home decor. And one very helpful bow tutorial hack inspired, well, taught to me by my mother. These home decor are easy to do, and they're going to carry me straight through the new year. If you like home decor on the budget, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video or find an idea or two to inspire you, hit that thumbs up. It really helps my channel. Thank you, and let's get started. So for DIY number 1, I'm going to be using this globe I got at the Dollar Tree. And it's the large one. So I haven't made a snow globe yet, and I'm super excited to try. I'm going to make a very simple one. And we're going to be using this little wood block from the Dollar Tree to help give different heights to my little forest scene. I'm going to take the block and hot glue it to the bottom of that inner lid. And I'm just going to use a little dot of hot glue and these little tiny trees from Dollar Tree as well. I was super excited when I found these little tiny bottle brush trees, because there was only one pack in the store, so I snatched it up. So now I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue several of them together using Gorilla Hot Glue. And then just to create some interest, I also added some of these gold and silver vase fillers, also from the Dollar Tree. Now there was no particular order or method. I just kind of put them randomly, kind of like a forest would. So once I have 3 of these bottle brush trees hot glued in kind of like a triangle formation, I go in and just add some of these little balls, I guess. So I just put a large one on the outside, and then I just try to randomly choose different sizes. And I stack some of them just to give it some interest. Now my color palette for all these DIYs today is going to be gold, silver, and some neutrals. So you're going to see that throughout all my DIYs today, as well as snowflakes. When I think of winter, I think of trees, the forest, and some snow. So that's what inspired me in this video today. Once I have those arranged the way I like them, I'm going to go ahead and add some Epsom salt straight into the inside of this snow globe. I add about a 1/4 cup into the snow globe, and then I add some hot glue around the little winter scene. That way some of the Epsom salt sticks to the floor of my forest. So quickly, once I add all that stuff, I just put the inner lid inside and I just turn it upside down so that the Epsom salt can stick to the bottom there. So this is what it's looking like, the little winter scene. And I just screw on the lid. Then, just to add a decorative feature, I add this shiny silver ribbon I got at Dollar General. And I really like how it's coming along. So on my channel, I like to do eclectic home decor. So I like some farmhouse, I like some rustic, vintage. I like all of it. I like glam. I mean, why should I have to choose, right? So now I'm gonna take a snowflake from the ornament pack at Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna hot glue one right at the center there at the bottom. And this is just gonna help give it some more interest. Definitely adds to that winter vibe. So once I have that on there, I'm going to go in and add this candle stand from the Dollar Tree. This candle holder, this crystal candle holder, and I'm just going to hot glue it to the bottom. I would recommend using some E6000 if you want it to be very sturdy. However, I'm probably going to reuse this in the next season. So I'm just going to be using this Gorilla Hot Glue and high temperature setting. So then I just center it on there and press it very firmly until it's adhered. Now I'm gonna go in with some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to randomly make kind of like a circle, draw a circle with some Mod Podge, and just let it drip naturally. Now I'm gonna add some Epsom salt right on top of it so that it kind of looks like a crystal, snowy window, like kind of like a natural snowy drip. I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. Now I'm gonna go in with this gold eucalyptus I got last year at Michael's on sale, and I'm just gonna cut off random pieces and hot glue them like so. Now be careful if you're using a high temperature glue gun because it will melt this plastic greenery piece, goldery piece. Okay, so now I just hot glue them and kind of pin them down so that they are glued to the shape of this globe. Now I just seal all the Epsom salt with some more Mod Podge on top using a paintbrush to do so, and I just lightly tap it. That way hopefully my Epsom salt will stay in its crystal form and it won't fall all over the place. I mean, that's the goal here. That's the wish. Anyways, I really like how it came out, and you guys let me know in the comments down below if you like this DIY. It's super simple, but I think it makes a big statement in your winter home decor, and it looks very high-end in my opinion. Now let me tell you about my friend Brandy. So Brandy was so sweet enough to collab with me today, and we're both gonna bring you winter DIY inspiration. So please be sure to check out her channel, Making It My Own DIYs. I'll show you a little bit of what she has right now. Well, a lot of it. She has tons of inspiration, so I'm sure you're gonna find a ton of ideas for your home decor. And if you're coming over from Brandy's channel, welcome. I hope you subscribe, and I'm so glad you're here today. Now for the next DIY, I'm going to take some of these canvases. I got a 10-pack at Walmart, and I'm still using the same 10-pack. I'm gonna take the canvas, and I'm gonna use my box blade, my box cutter, and I'm going to slice off the canvas just by tracing the shape outside of those staple lines. So I just rip it off. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. I do try my best to get off all the backing and stuff, but honestly, it's not even gonna show, so don't stress yourself. I'm going to remove all of this for 4 of the canvases. Now we're just going to lay them out, and this is how we're going to adhere them in this position to look like a window. So what I was trying to make is a snowy window scene. Okay, so now I take some E6000, and I'm just going to place a good amount in the center of each of the canvases, and then I'm gonna put hot glue on the other spots, being careful not to touch the E6000. We don't want the E6000 and the hot glue to touch at all. But it's very important to add both because the E6000 would give that really strong hold, and the hot glue helps keep it in place while that E6000 dries. And this is a very sturdy piece. Now, like I said, I use Gorilla Hot Glue, which is really good for adhering wood and many other things as well. Okay, so I go ahead and I do the same thing to the other 2 canvases, as well as the center of the canvases. So I do the same process to just adhere all of these canvases together. I hope I'm making sense, but it's very simple. I promise. So once all these 4 canvases are adhered together and now they're looking like a window, we're gonna go ahead and start adding the decorative features. Now I'm gonna explain what I did because for some reason some footage went missing. So what I did was I took some hot glue and some greenery, and I hot glued a whole bunch of greenery to the top there. So I took some of these DIY ornaments from the Dollar Tree. They look like little trees, and I just painted them all in this beautiful color by Folk Art called Forest Moss. but you feel free to choose whatever paint color you prefer. I was going for a neutral soft palette, so that's why I used this one. Once that was dry, I went in with this color by Folk Art called Antique Gold, which is my absolute favorite gold color, and we're going to be using it again in the last DIY today. So I lost some footage, but basically I just hot glued the greenery at the top there. I used Dollar Tree's Frosted Fern at the top, as well as that gold eucalyptus from Michael's. And then I took some more of the same snowflake ornaments from DIY number 1, and I just hot glued them randomly throughout. Now I'm going to use some of these snowflake dangly bell ornaments, and I'm going to hot glue them as well in 2 of the canvases, in 2 of the canvas frames. So I just thought that this added a fun feature to this piece. Again, if you're free to add or subtract whatever you like for your project. But I hope you like this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now for this next DIY, I'm gonna just share a bow making hack, I guess. This is something my mom taught me when I was young. How to make bows the same size whenever you have to make multiple bows. This is what she taught me when I was a little girl. So I'm just gonna share it with you guys today, and I hope it helps. And let me know if you've ever seen this tip before, or if it's helpful to you. I hope it is. Now I just took a piece of cardboard, and you can make it any size you want for your bow, but I was trying to make 10-inch bows. So I just took this piece of cardboard, and it measures 10 inches by 5 inches. And then I just measured out the midpoint, and I just cut a rectangle there, making sure that the midpoint fell in the center of that rectangle piece. You want to make sure that the rectangle you cut out in the center ends in the center of the cardboard. So basically just making this shape. Now we're going to use some ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this silver one, but I'm going to be making several bows today. I'm just going to show you a simple bow using this ribbon. So you're going to start in the corner, the bottom corner there, and hold the beginning of your ribbon, and then you're going to wrap the ribbon around the cardboard, making sure that every time you cross that middle section, you slide the ribbon into that center part. And you're also going to slide the ribbon towards the center there, and it's going to make a natural cinch. So once you have that all held in the center, you're going to cut off the other ribbon tail right at the same point where you started the first part of the ribbon. So once you have it all cut out to how you like it, you're going to push the ribbon up towards the top, and you're going to just use a zip tie or whatever you choose. You can use some more ribbon here, or you can use some twine in the center there. I just use a zip tie just to show how simple it is with a zip tie. And then you just slide it off. And this way you have a perfect ribbon every single time. Now before you completely pull your zip tie 100% tight, you want to fluff out your bow. You also want to twist your tails to where you want them to be. And then you go ahead and secure your bow. Now this is the part where you would dovetail and all those things, but I'm just going to show you another bigger ribbon using the same cardboard hack. I call this the Francesca bow method because it's my mother and her name is Francesca, so I'm just going to call it the Francesca bow method. But I'm going to go ahead and do it again, but this time adding more rounds of ribbon. I am not a professional bow maker. I'm just showing you what my mother showed me when I was a child, and she was a professional. Well, she is a professional in fashion, and this is what she did, and I'm assuming this is how she made my bows when I was a little girl, but this is the easiest way I know, so this is what I do. So once you go ahead, you start the same way you did last time, but this time instead of stopping at 2 revolutions, we're going to go ahead and keep going to the end of the ribbon till it ends. So our tails are not going to be the same length, but I'm just trying to make a ribbon for my wreath. for my next DIY, which is a wreath. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and push up the bow so that we reveal that little hole in the center. And we're gonna push the zip tie through there and tighten it a little bit. We're gonna slide it out, and then we're going to fluff our bow and move our tails. Now this one here, I tightened it all the way because there really wasn't a second tail because my ribbon finished. It's just some cheap Dollar Tree ribbon, but I like it for my wreath. And I am planning to layer these bows. So this is gonna be the first layer, and there's gonna be another bow that goes on top. But that's how I do the ribbon, the Francesca bow method. Thank you, Mommy. I really appreciate this hack. So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep these spools for my next DIY, well, an upcoming video, where I do a trash to treasure home hack, home decor hack. I love using everything I have on hand before I throw it away. Now I'm just showing you here that you can do the same method using several different ribbons if you wanted to layer different ribbon patterns. So I'm just showing you here with another ribbon. I sped it up because I'm sure you know how to do it by now. But maybe you want to see a different way of doing it. So I'm just going to show you how it would look with different ribbon combinations. And just fluff out the bow and dovetail, and your bow is pretty much ready. So I hope this is helpful for you, and you could definitely do this in any size you want. So see, you could layer them and make a nice fluffy bow. Now I'm gonna make one more bow. I'm not gonna show you the process, but this is the one I'm gonna use for the center of my wreath in the next DIY. So I go ahead and I start in the corner, I wrap it up, making sure to twist so that the face of the ribbon is facing the right way. You're gonna twist at the back of the cardboard and making sure that when you bring it back, the ribbon is facing the right direction. And that's pretty much it. I hope this makes sense. If you would like me to make another bow tutorial just specifically for this, I will do that for you. Just leave it in the comments down below, and I would love to help you guys out however I can. And yeah, just go ahead and dovetail that, and that's going to be the center of my next wreath. Now you could make big bows as well as small bows. You just have to cut it down and make sure that both sides are the same width. But it definitely works for small bows as well. You could use this for ribbon, for twine, for yarn, for any material really. All right, so now for DIY number 4, this is just gonna be the wreath that I'm gonna make. So this is gonna be a very special wreath, a very unique wreath. Not my Christmas wreath, but the wreath I'm gonna use right after Christmas to take me through to the spring. My winter wreath. It's gonna be gold, silver, as well as some neutrals. I took two wreath forms from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make a donut. However, I'm going to fill it with some of this pool noodle first. Now the pool noodle is going to help me hold the candles in the center of my wreath because I wanted a very fancy wreath. I guess you could call it fancy. Okay, so once I cut it down so that the donut fits perfectly inside of the wreath form, I'm going to cut the holes out for my candle. So these are the candles from the Dollar Tree, the tapered candlesticks. I'm just going to hold them at the center point of this pool noodle, and I'm going to kind of poke the shape of this candle stick. So once I have that shape, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out in a very intricate method, basically just using half of my scissor and just kind of going up and down until I get the hole. Now once I get that, I push the inside of the hole just into the pool noodle, no big deal. And I'm gonna do the same thing on each side of this hole. So I want 3 candlesticks to stand in the center of my wreath. So I just go ahead and do the same thing, making sure that these holes are about 3 inches apart. So once I have all 3 holes cut out, I'm gonna go ahead and cover this pool noodle with some fabric. Now you can use whatever fabric you have on hand, but I wanted it to be kind of like a wintry glam feel. So I'm just using this table runner that I got at the Dollar Tree that I never actually used, but I'm gonna use it today to cover the black on this pool noodle. And I'm just going to hot glue that, making sure that the holes for the candlesticks are still exposed. And these holes for the candlesticks are going to be at the bottom center, the inner portion of my wreath. So the candlesticks will be standing upright inside of the wreath center, in the center portion of the wreath. I hope I'm making sense. Now I tie a knot at both ends of the pool noodle so that I have another decorative feature at the top of my wreath. So now I'm going to go ahead and assemble my wreath form. So I'm going to take 2 of the wire wreath forms. So I'm going to take 2 of the wire wreath forms from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make sure that they are concave inward towards each other. I'm going to take a zip tie, and I'm going to tie both of these ring forms together with the pool noodle in the center. So I take the zip tie and I just go around both of the wire wreath forms at that intersection on the outermost point of the wreath form. And I'm gonna do that around the outside first. So once I have 2 of the sections connected, I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie the innermost ring on the wreath form using a zip tie, making sure that this inner zip tie is in between the 2 outer zip ties. This way it keeps the pool noodle right at the center of both wreath forms. And I continue doing this process all the way around. However, I do not tie these zip ties all the way tight yet. I secure them by pulling the zip tie a little bit, just not all the way until the entire pool noodle is inside the wreath form. So I continue doing the same process until the entire pool noodle is inside. Once the entire pool noodle is inside of the wreath form, I tighten all of the zip ties by pulling them, and then I cut off the excess. Once they're all cut, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna leave this little bit of fabric dangling down a little bit. I tuck it in I kind of pull it to just make it the length that I desire, but I do like that little feature. I feel it adds softness to the wreath once all our greenery is added. You'll see what I mean in a second. But I think it's beautiful. So now once we have that, making sure that our holes are in the center of our wreath and that little dangly portion is at the top of our wreath. So that fabric is going to let us know that that is the top center of our wreath. Now I'm going to take some of these cedar picks from the Dollar Tree. I picked them up in the fall, and I'm just going to start adding them randomly throughout. Now I like using this pool noodle method inside of the wreath form because it adds some tension and it helps keep all of these picks in place because it's nice and tight. And if you want to add more greenery, you just have to push down on the pool noodle and it will give you space to add your greenery pick. And once you stop pushing on that section of the pool noodle, it will tighten. The pool noodle will bounce back and lock that greenery into place. So I'm gonna use some of these greenery picks. I don't know where they're from. I'm going to assume Amazon because the packaging kind of looks like Amazon. But these were a gift from my mother. So thank you, Mom. but I will see if I can find their name and link them in the description box below. But this part here, you're free to use any greenery you have on hand, any greenery of your choosing. I'm just trying to show you some inspiration, maybe some ideas for your wreath. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just tucking them in between the wreath form and the pool noodle, making sure that the bottom of that stem is under the wire wreath form. So I'm just gonna go in a clockwise formation at the top, and the bottom here is going to be in a counterclockwise formation. I just thought that it added some interest to the wreath. So once I add the cedar pick, I add about 4 greenery picks, and then I added another cedar pick, and I just continued that all the way around the wreath. But as you can see here, I push down on the pool noodle, and then I pull the bottom stem of the greenery, and then I wrap the stem around the wired wreath form. So I don't use hot glue on the greenery picks in case I want to use them again. So as you can see, I push down on the pool noodle. I kind of lock the greenery pick underneath the wreath form, tucking it in enough so that it doesn't slide. I tuck in about 1 inch of the bottom of the greenery stem. And then with the remaining stem, I just tuck that, I twist that around and just tuck it into the nearest wire wreath form area. This is very simple. I'm going to be hanging this indoors. It's not going outdoors. If you're going to do it outdoors, you might want to secure it some more with some zip ties or hot glue or some twine. However, this worked out for me. Now for the rest of the wreath, I'm going to go in the opposite direction than the beginning, bottom portion of the wreath. And I just continue alternating all the way around the wreath. Now I'm going to use some of these ornaments from the Dollar Tree, the same ones we used, just the white ones, not the clear ones, from DIY number 1 and 2. And I'm just going to place them underneath and kind of tuck them into the greenery all the way around the wreath. I'm not hot gluing them yet. I do hot glue the snowflakes, but this is the only portion I hot glue. Well, actually no, I do hot glue the bells next. I forgot. So I think it's important to kind of place them around first so that you know kind of the distribution of where you want them to be on your wreath. But I really like them. I like this feature. I think it adds a softness, and it definitely goes with the wintry theme of today's video. So I just add a dot of hot glue to keep it in place. Once I'm done with the snowflakes, I just take one of those bows that we made from DIY number 3, and I was going to put it here. There are lots of options for this wreath. It's very neutral, so you could go all holiday on it and add one of this red bow, one of the red bows, or whatever your favorite ribbon of choice. However, I chose to go neutral today because that's kind of what I was going for, I guess, in this DIY. I have another Christmas wreath coming up in the next video. That one will be 100% Christmas, jumping out of the wreath. So that one's going to be a fun wreath. This one's more classy, more elegant. stripe, and this is just for fun, just for kicks. You could totally skip this step if it's not your cup of tea. But I love fun home decor, elegant home decor, beautiful home decor, handmade. So now my candles were a little too tall, however I did like the taper feature of it. So now I'm just going to use my box blade and cut off about 2.5 inches off the bottom of the candlesticks. And I do that for all 3 candlesticks. So now I put them into the holes we made at the beginning of this DIY. However, they were kind of going, you know, towards each other. So I'm just going to use a little toothpick here, and I'm going to kind of stab it into the bottom right or left, depending on where you're looking at. And I'm just going to put them in between these candlesticks to kind of persuade the candle to go where I want it to go. You could totally hot glue them in place as well with the toothpicks in place. It's just I don't like hot gluing things because I change my mind very often, and I like the ability to switch up my decor. I like the ability to reuse my decor pieces throughout the seasons. So I can link some videos here if you'd like to see my garland and how I just made some home decor with things I already had at home for the Shop Your House collab. So now I'm going to use some of these bell decorations from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to hot glue them throughout. You can just cover some of the empty spots with these bells, and they also had little snowflakes on top, which I thought kind of added to the wintry look we're going for. So once I hot glued about 4 or 5 of them, I also added some to the outer edges of this wreath. I finished it off by adding one more right in the center of the fluffy neutral bow. And I absolutely love how this came out. Please let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite DIY today. I am working on another wreath. Not so fancy, it's more fun. So buffalo check, fun. I hope you enjoyed this DIY. I hope you enjoyed all of the DIYs really. And let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite today. These were a lot of fun to make. I want to give a special thank you to all my subscribers. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you stick around by hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you, special thank you to Brandy for collabing with me and for being an awesome individual. Guys, don't forget to check out her channel.